Hi and welcome to Outwell and to our Harrier L from our Smart Air TC collection. This is a 3-room tunnel design tent which can sleep up to 5 people across 2 bedrooms. For me, the key feature of this tent is the frame that we're using here. So what you'll find is that in place of the traditional sort of steel or fiberglass frame, is that we actually have a frame made up from inflatable tubes. More detail on that is that we use our One-Go Inflation system, which allows us to fully inflate this tent just from one single valve. So if I just bring you down to this tube here, you'll find that this is where we have the air in valve, so it's just tucked away under this pocket here, and that's where we would attach the pump to inflate the tent. Also, just while I'm here, I'll just highlight that we do have the release valves on each individual section, so that when it comes to taking down the tent, we would just open each one up and you would find that it would come down nice and quickly, and certainly very easily as well. The tent is supplied with the double action hand pump, just like this one here, and you'll just find that on top you do have a manometer which will tell you the pressure that the tent is being inflated to. And just for your information, the tent can be inflated from between 0.6 and 0.8 bar, which represents 8.7 to 11.6 psi. So it means you're getting a lot of air into these tubes here to make sure that even in the strongest of wind conditions, you'll find that the tent will be nice and stable. You will find that we do use one pole on the tent, and that's across the front here. So this is a Duratec fiberglass pole, so nice and strong. And what this does is actually creates this really nice feature across the front of the tent here. So if I just pop over here, I'll show you this. So you can see here that you actually get good head height, but also shelter across the front door here. You've got side panels on there as well, so a little bit more protected. So if it's a little bit breezy, you've got somewhere to shelter, or if you're lucky enough for it to be a lovely day, then you can get a little bit of shade here too. Also, pretty handy space for things like kitchen storage units or furniture and things like that as well. Stepping back into the tent, you'll find the door itself is of a good size, so getting all of your kit in and out of the tent should be nice and easy. The door is obviously rolled away at the moment, but it can be fully zipped closed, and the ground sheet actually zips onto the door as well, just to create that real good fastening. The door itself does have large windows on there, and it does have curtains on there too. Stepping back into the tent, you'll certainly be aware of a lot of space in here, accentuated by large windows all the way around here, flooding the place with light, making it feel that little bit larger as well. Certainly plenty of head height as well. I'm about 1.95 meters, and you can see I've got lots of room above me. Just while I'm up here though, I'd also like to highlight the frame that I mentioned to you earlier on. So this is where you can see that all of the individual inflatable tubes are actually attached to each other. That is what allows us to blow the whole tent up in one go. But what we want to do is just once we're inside, once the tent is inflated, we want to just close these valves off like this, and that would separate each of the beams so that in the unlikely event of something going wrong, each individual tube is separate from each other. Some other features just to highlight at the top here is also we have this lantern hanging point in a good central location in the tent. And then leading away from that, you'll find that we have Velcro tabs, which are actually cable tidies, which run down to where we have a cable entry point here. So you can bring your electrics into the tent without having to have them running through the doors. Speaking of doors, you'll find that there is a side entrance onto this tent as well. And you can see here, there's a large mesh panel, which can be fully zipped. So you get great ventilation within the tent, but hopefully you keep out those unwanted bugs as well. At the back is where you'll find the bedrooms that I mentioned earlier on, of which there are 2, and this tent can sleep up to 5 people. Got a really nice detail on here of the stripes, so you get that real sort of interior design feel within the tent. And also then across the top, you'll find that we've got our wave-shaped hanging point system here, which attaches the bedrooms to the tent itself. This does 2 things for me. One is actually gives it that nice detail, as I say, with the sort of luminous wave-shaped here. But 2, it does have a function as well where it takes any of the stress points off of the top of the bedrooms as well, just across that seam. Other features just to highlight then would be a large ventilation panel on the front door. It does have a curtain behind there though, so if you do want the privacy, that can just be zipped up into place. You'll also find that we have some storage pockets on the outside here as well, just for your smaller possessions there, making sure you know where you put them. And then some other features within the bedroom itself. You'll find that we have this separating sheet between the 2 bedrooms, which you can see is of a good quality, so about as much privacy as you're going to get within a tent. That can be fully zipped open if you do want to create one large bedroom as well. And then at the back you'll find that we have a ventilation panel which corresponds to outside ventilation. And just down in the corner here you'll find that we do have some handy storage pockets, again ideal for your personal possessions in the bedrooms. Another great feature on here is the universal bedroom, and we'll just show you now how that works. So as I said earlier, lots of large windows all the way around the tent here. If you do want a little bit more privacy from inside, then each window has its own individual curtain, which is polycotton as well. Now that can either be brought halfway up using the Velcro tabs, or it obviously can be fully closed as well. You'll also then find across the tops of the windows that we have these ventilation panels which correspond to outside panels, which we'll show you shortly too. Something else I just want to highlight while I'm down here though is the ground sheet. This is a really nice material actually. This is a Oxford polyester, very durable, very waterproof, with a hydrostatic head of 10,000 mil. You can see that it does come up at the sides as well. It's fully sealed from front to back and side to side. So ideally that's going to stop any draft from coming in. Hopefully it's going to also stop things like dust and dirt and things coming into the tent, and hopefully, more importantly, those unwanted creepy crawlies. So coming outside the tent, we'll just take you through some of the features here. And I'd like to start off by talking about the fly sheet that we use on the tent. So this is our Outex AirTech material. This is a polycotton. So the mix is a 65% cotton, 35% polyester. What that means, it's going to be very, very durable. It's also naturally waterproof, although we do put a coating on here just to make sure that light rain can be sort of beading off and away. But a really nice thing about polycotton as well is that you'll find it much more breathable. So on a hot day, it will keep you nice and cool, but actually it also reacts very well for when it's cold, because it will contract and keep you a little bit warmer on cooler days as well. So I guess you could say that it kind of reacts to the environment that it's in. Some other things I just want to highlight then on the outside. I did mention the windows a couple of times from the inside, but what you'll see from the outside quite clearly is that they've been tinted. So that gives you two key functions. One is obviously to give you a little bit more privacy within the tent, but two is also just to reduce the glare of the sun, keeping you a little bit more comfortable inside as well. So above the windows you'll find the ventilation panels that I did mention. So under here you have the mesh. If it gets a little bit too chilly in the tent, we just need to come out here and we can just simply get rid of these like so. So some other things just to highlight then would be our floating guy lines on the tent here. So this is where you can see we have our classic luminous guy line at the bottom here, and then at the top we actually have the black guy line which ties in with the trim of the tent. We're also using our easy pegging system with this tent, so that's where we supply you with the 3 different styles of pegs. We have the solid steel anchor pegs here for the corners of the tent. We have the luminous peg here for the luminous guy lines all the way around, and we also have the black plastic pegs for all of the black pegging points around the side of the tent. Another thing that I didn't highlight there actually with the guy lines is the fact that we have retainers. So when it comes to packing away the tent, we can simply wrap up the guy lines in our hands and just pop them in here, so that the next time you come to use them, you don't have a sort of big bird's nest of guy lines that you have to spend time untying. So just to finish up here, I'll show you that we also have some mud balances around the porch area. So that just encourages any rainwater running down the tent to be taken away from the inside. There is a couple of optional extras available for the Harrier L, including a footprint to go under the ground sheet, and also the carpet that you saw within the living space, just giving you that extra little touch of luxury. So that's all of the features of our Harrier L from our Smart Air TC collection. Thanks very much for watching.